Hey, how are you? I'm SliceofOtaku, and today I have a pretty simple video for you because I want to talk a bit about the alien life forms recently introduced in Steven Universe, outside of, the gem aliens we've been exposed to since the beginning. Because it's sort of a big deal, like a lot of other things, but as we know, Pink Diamond's reveal pretty much stole the entire Stranded event. But the first alien we're going to discuss happens to be the first one Stevonnie encounters. This four-legged, four-eyed insectoid, which happens to be very aggressive as it immediately attacks Stevonnie, whom happens to be a foreign entity within this environment, which seems to be most likely a display of dominance or the maintaining of territory. Now, after managing to fend off the creature with their shield, it leaps at them again, but this time, Stevonnie opts to swing her sword, which just blew my mind because although the creature was able to survive due to its innate capabilities, Stevonnie didn't know that. These are not gems. They're not gem mutants, they're not gem monsters, so Stevonnie isn't just dissipating their form or anything like that. As organic life, these aliens can die, and considering Steven was incapable of bringing himself to feed a mouse to a snake, it seems to me like Connie's influence heavily swayed this particular decision. But like I was saying, after being sliced in half, the insectoid sprouts a new set of legs and escapes. But with its other half left behind, Stevonnie picks it up and alludes to consuming it, which is pretty reckless considering their overall lack of knowledge when it comes to the creature, but I suppose the same could be said for virtually the entirety of the moon, so I guess they took their chances with it. And next up, there is the rather docile alien Stevonnie encounters by the drinking hole. And as fun and cute as this scene is or whatever, look, this thing over here is just trying to slurp up some sips in peace, but here comes Stevonnie backwashing in its favorite spot. Now you have to admit that that's a bit rude, and if this alien decided to fight Stevonnie, would they really be able to complain? Because I mean, if you're messing with my drink, you're kinda asking for it. But anyways, the final alien species we actually run into looks like they could belong to the Perry the Platypus ancestral line. So, in respect to Agent P and his service to the Tri-State area, we're going to refer to this small one as Little P and the large one as Big P, so just keep that in mind, it's easier to follow. Now, unlike with the more aggressive alien we encountered first, when it came to Little P, there was an internal conflict within Stevonnie between Steven and Connie, where Connie wants to eat Little P as it could serve to be a good source of protein, while Steven is against eating it because it's too cute. And it's funny, for some reason, Steven's stance towards this seems really familiar. I mean, I just can't shake the feeling that Steven's moral compass is conveniently present for that which he deems to be cute or visually appealing, yet absent with more intimidating figures. But nah, that's crazy. Steven loves everything, right? Anyways, Little P does a spin dash away to safety when Big P appears, and Big P is certainly territorial when it comes to that which we may presume to be its offspring. And Big P's spin dash is seemingly far more developed as it's able to go down hills doing so. But yeah, even after escaping it through the night, the next day when Stevonnie is in the highest level of the moon base, Big P is able to scale upwards using its talons. And I'm just curious why Big P is this determined and how in the world it knew Stevonnie would be up there to begin with. Because in my mind, Big P managed to fend Stevonnie off, keeping Little P safe. So why be all the way over here when Little P could be targeted by some other predator? But I suppose these are alien life forms after all, so maybe their instinctual tendencies differ from the animals we're familiar with on Earth. But yeah, when Big P scales up, it begins to crack the glass with its beak, which is pretty interesting to me because that would mean that its beak is capable of roughly the same amount of impact as Pink Diamond's fist. Pink Diamond being a gem, and gems innately having super strength. Very peculiar. And the very last capability displayed by Big P is the ability to float, which was pretty cool and interesting to see a bird-like creature possess. Now, because Big P's species is registered within the Jungle Moon Base's databanks, I'd like to think that Homeworld is prone to claiming moons as their own, but don't really do much with them besides building singular bases on them, which is sort of weird and I think definitely has to have some sort of reasoning behind it. Because, you know, something like that makes sense for Earth's moon, I suppose, but I'm curious why this would be the case with a vegetated moon as well. And while we're on the topic of an alien planet, I want to bring up something that my boy SwaggyThunder brought to my attention back before Stranded even aired. The simple fact that there is breathable oxygen on the jungle moon for Stevani to begin with. And not only that, but they're able to walk around normally, indicating that the gravity on said planet is virtually the same as they are used to, therefore meaning that the jungle moon, Homeworld, and Earth are all the same size, which is interesting to say the least. Because I mean, it would be pretty cool if Homeworld was so selective with the planetoids it occupies that they're pretty much the same size, but we certainly know this is not the case based on two bits of evidence, both of which are conveniently presented to us in the episode It Could Have Been Great. Firstly, the diamond murals we see, which had been more so proven to be accurate depictions of the diamond's acquired colonies at the time, very much indicate there to be colonies of varying sizes. And next, Peridot tells us that gems are made with the capability to adjust their physical bodies to the gravity of any planetoid, which is a really neat ability, which I remember getting me excited when I first watched the show before all of this YouTube stuff. And I don't know, it was just really cool to me and just fit so well because it made sense. But unfortunately, it seems as though that sort of thinking has devolved to a sort of universe is made for Steven approach, which is pretty whack to me and takes away a lot of potential tension. If you're interested in going further in depth with that topic in particular, be sure to check out the video Swaggy made on it, which I'll link in the description, and if you do, let him know who sent you. So just to prove that Peridot's comments about gems being capable of adjusting to the gravity of any planetoid wasn't just a one-off thing, and is actually intended to be a persistent aspect of gem life, expanding beyond that singular episode, I want to bring to your attention that with the episode Back to the Moon, outside of the moon base's entrance is a pathway made for gems, and so gems should be able to traverse the terrain normally, and Steven, lacking this trait of course, is casted off into space when he opens up the door. But why are the rubies casted off as well? I mean, certainly the force of a blow from Sardonyx along with the extreme gust created by the opening of the door would be enough to launch the rubies, but why is it that they don't simply plummet downwards towards the ground considering their bodies automatically adjust? I mean, even with the following episode Bubbled, we're able to see Eyeball revolve around Steven's bubble as a sort of pseudo-planetoid. And on top of that, once on the moon, Steven holds Garnet's hand in order to keep himself grounded, rather than floating about, so I'm just really curious how this could be considered and utilized in so many instances within these two episodes, yet ignored or forgotten when the rubies are blasted away, and even now with other planetoids. It's just really weird to me. And with the case of Homeworld, it's not as if Steven has manifested this ability unbeknownst to us or anything like that, because Lars, even before becoming pink, was able to walk around normally as well. And hey, maybe Steven has some super lungs or something that do require oxygen, but just less than your average human. Okay, sure, let's go with that. But what about Lars? Lars was a human on Homeworld. Homeworld being a planet not intended for organic life in the slightest. How was there oxygen? I mean, Navy made it rather clear to us in Room for Ruby that it does not rain on Homeworld, ever. Now, no rain means no trees, which is to be expected anyways, but yeah, even if Homeworld was an exact replica of Earth, without trees, there wouldn't be enough oxygen to sustain human life. Ergo, no way for Steven or Lars to survive, which mind you was not accommodated for at all because Homeworld doesn't really understand what Steven is to begin with to know that he needs oxygen or anything like that. And it's whatever, I guess. You can pull whatever conveniences you want, but man, struggling to work around these sorts of hurdles that you make for yourself can result in incredible creations, and I'd love to see the crew move forward with that sort of approach at least once in a while. But yeah, I think that's enough for a side note. But that's about it for this video. Let me know what you think about the introduction of new alien life forms and which of the aliens presented is your favorite and why. And as a friendly reminder, don't forget to look after your little peas. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.